Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Pete, Films and Stuff, a new day, a new episode. We just got finished talking about some great movies that we loved. Now we shift our focus to television series
that we hate.
The season finale of Halo.
We're going to talk about episode 8, and then episode 9 comes out, and we will add that together, and we'll make it into one season 1 finale.
Okay.
But in any case, episode 8, which is the penultimate episode, and I hope this is the penultimate episode of the final season of Halo. I just... I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but I was not happy.
I'm not sure why you're not happy, because I was thrilled. I mean, I've been very, very harsh about Halo for a long time. And I have to say, I thought this was an exceptional episode. It gave me everything I wanted. Why are you not happy?
Okay, well...
Why are you not...
Before I go into why I'm not happy, because I think I speak on behalf of 95% of the Halo fan base, why don't you tell me what you actually liked about this episode and what changed you, what turned the tide for you, right? Because I think up until episode 7 and 8, up until this episode, you and I were pretty much on the same page, which was this show was completely off pace, something wasn't right, blah, blah, blah. So what turned it around for you?
I mean, I felt that through episodes 1 through 7, it was very slow moving. It was very sterile, and conflicts were very one-dimensional. It was just people who had a difference of opinion. It was someone who was angry at someone. They weren't really dynamic, and it wasn't interesting. You know, there was an absolute absence of action, save for a handful of themes. And we spent a lot of time with Kwan Ha on Madrigal. So all those things I thought were really giving me a hard time, getting into the series. And then in episode 8, all the main characters basically threw down. And everyone had a dispute with everybody. And now it's not even easy to kind of sort out who is beefing with who, right? And even in that episode, a lot of relationships changed dramatically, right? Dr. Halsey has now a bad relationship, if any, with UNSC, right? She doesn't really have anyone on her side. She lost Cortana. Cortana is back with Master Chief. Master Chief now seems to be with Cortana, kind of. Okay. Master Chief is against the other Spartans. The Spartans are against each other, right? Even, who's the red-haired lady?
Oh, you mean Kai. Sorry.
Yes, it's Kai, right? So Kai is against Riz and the other dude, right? The Admiral obviously has her problems. Captain has his problems. It's Soren and Kai, right? Dr. Keyes, Miranda, is kind of on her own, where she's starting now to decipher the language, identifies McKee as possibly supporting the Covenant. McKee is now, first, she had a very intimate relationship with Master Chief, and then she felt that, the humans or UNSC or the security guards, abused her again, and she kind of went back into her safe space of finding that humans were bad. I feel like we've got a lot of conflict now. It's not just two sides, which is where we started, in episode 1. There's kind of 5 sides now. You could say UNSC, you could say Spartans, you could say Kai is maybe her own side, you could say Master Chief and Cortana definitely their own side. Miranda kind of against her father, and Halsey is obviously on her own. McKee is on her own, but it's not clear if McKee is even with the Covenant anymore. So I feel like it's a really dynamic situation now. And that's what I wanted to see, was some good drama and uncertainty. So I'm in a happy place.
Okay. All fair points. All very fair points.
Fair points.
Let me tell you. So this episode was called...
Tell me your Yeah.
This episode was called Allegiance. And in my opinion, this episode should be renamed The Trainwreck. I think that... I don't even know where to begin. There's so much that I think is so wrong with this. And I understand.
Let me help you sort it out. Is your problem that you don't think that this is being loyal to the original storyline? Is that the problem that you're having?
I think that there's a couple of those, and I think that's probably the biggest problem. And I will admit, I will say, fair play to the writers and the showrunners. They did from the very outset tell us, we're not interested in following the lore of the games. We're only interested in the characters, right? And how they behave.
Yeah.
So to that point, fine, because what they've literally done is taken a matchstick and burned down the lore of the games, right? So
is it really a matchstick that's burned it down, or are you just finding it's not faithful to the lore?
It's both. It's really both. And I'll tell you why. So Master Chief, the Master Chief that I know is the type of guy who is loyal to humankind and to humanity at all, no matter what the cost is, even if that means killing himself, right? Even if that means like he has to take the bullet, he will do it because that's how he was raised. That's how he was programmed, right? And furthermore, Master Chief as a character also has a tremendous amount of respect and fear around him. The Covenant in the games know of Master Chief, and they know that he is not one to be trifled with, because this is a man that has literally taken down armies by himself. And within the Spartan Corps and within the Marine Corps and within the UNSC, Master Chief is not just well liked. He is not just well respected. People really revere him, so much so that like there's no way Master Chief would ever be fought against. Like, no way at all. And I get that they're going around that by saying that they have these inhibitor chips, which aren't really inhibitor chips at this point, right? They're more like mind control chips. Because there's no way that his own squad members, so we're talking about Riz and Vanek, they both go after him. They lay a trap for him in this episode, and then they're trying to capture him. And it gets to a point where they're both beating him up so bad that they're just like, don't make us do this, implying that they were going to kill him. So that would never happen. That would never happen at all. And even if it did for some crazy reason, I assure you that he would be able to beat them both up.
Well, he didn't have his armor on though.
Fine. Yeah. Fine. So that's been one of my first problems in this this series the whole time. Why do we see him without his armor all the time? All the time. So that's one. Okay. So because he's also got this unyielding faith and unyielding position on saving humanity first, it is so antithetical for him to then go and sleep with McKee, who's, even he knows and everybody knows, is a potential Covenant spy, right? He doesn't know whether she is or she isn't. No one knows for sure, although we as viewers know that she is, right? And even though...
Or isn't she?
But that's the thing. Even though in the last couple episodes, we're not 100% sure where she lies in this, I just don't see that ever happening, first of all. Second of all, and actually I saw this online, which I thought it was really funny. Someone basically said that, Master Chief loses his virginity in this episode while his mom watches, right? And that Cortana thing, I mean, it's bothered me from the very beginning. I don't understand. Like, in the games, her loyalty is to Master Chief through and through. like the entire way. In the last episode, in the last game, actually, you find out that she basically has sacrificed herself to prevent her from hurting anybody else, including Master Chief. Like, it's gotten too much. And now you see her, she's escaped, she's working with Halsey, she's helping Halsey take over the Spartans, and then it becomes, what, all of a sudden now it's too much that she's going after, that she needs to protect John. I don't understand what changed. Like, what happened in this episode, except for the fact that she saw him hook up with McKee, that would all of a sudden say, oh, maybe Halsey's going too far with John. Like, there's been no inkling that they should be working together so far. And then all of a sudden, she flips on a dime and then betrays Halsey to protect John. And even then, she doesn't do such a great job of that. I just think this whole thing seems like such a slap in the face to the lore. And then, more importantly, also, like, I get that this is like a TV show, and I get that, you know, it makes things a little spicy to have like the main character sleep with another main character. And, you know, it's the trope of television. If there's a man and a woman, somehow there has to be some kind of romance or some kind of physical intimacy link. But I think that, especially in this show, but in general as society, I think we've kind of moved on from that. That's not necessary. Like, when you see a lead female and a lead male, you don't expect the two of them to hook up anymore. It's not necessary. It happens, but it's not something that's expected to happen. I felt like they forced that to happen. And if they were going to do that, and if there was anyone else that Master Chief could have hooked up with, I thought it would be Kai, because neither of them have emotion regulators. Both of them have been like this emotional connection that they were both taken away from their parents. It kind of makes sense. And they kind of telegraphed that by her spying on him while he's naked in the shower room, taking out the regulator. So, okay, that's one thing. And then in terms of this conflict that you talk about, first of all, you're right. I do like that there's many different elements of conflict. But don't forget, the ultimate conflict is always humans versus the Covenant. And in this episode, we see that the Covenant have attacked that human outpost, killing 11 million innocents.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main conflict of Halo. At least I thought that was going to be, because my feeling was that was going to be, I believe they're setting up this story for the fall of Reach, right? That the Covenant are going to destroy Reach, the planet that they're all on right now. Because that's what happens in the games as well. That kind of was the impetus of Halo 1. And this kind of telegraphs that, potentially. But now I'm not so sure. Like, I don't understand, why do they have to have all this interpersonal conflict when you already have the main conflict going on? And so many layers of it. Like, I get the Halsey versus everyone else conflict on paper, but it's not working, because in the games, even though she's a bad guy, or maybe not the greatest of guys, she's not an outright villain. And in this episode, she comes out as the big bad, right? She comes out as the outright villain of everything. She sets up all of this downfall to happen. And I have a sneaking suspicion what they're going to do. And they telegraphed this in episode 3. I have a sneaking suspicion what they're going to do is either in this season, I think they're going to have Halsey die, because she's going to realize that she's made a blunder of some sort, or she's made a miscalculation. And right now, frankly, everybody hates her anyway. But because she's such a good actress and they don't want to lose her, I think what they're going to do is they're going to replace her in the next season with a clone of her, which we already saw in episode 3, because that's how they made Cortana. Right? Because I think that clone is like the Chekhov's gun of Halsey. I think that's a way for them to kind of convert her from being an outright bad guy in episode 8 to potentially being a good guy with a redemption arc by having a new version of her.
I mean, what I hear from you is that you have a pre-established idea of the storyline and how this should go from so many years of playing the Halo video game series that I don't have. And I think that I mean, I've been the same way with things that I've have a knowledge about or been very passionate about, but I feel like you're like, hey, I'm not really happy with how the story is going because that's not the story. You're not telling the story
You're
right.
absolutely right. That's probably my number one problem with this show.
But I think this, and I thought at the beginning the story was not good, but I think it's improved a lot. But can I tell you one thing that I think one problem I really have with this is the UNSC is casted weak. I'm sorry, Shabana Azmi, who plays the Admiral. I'm sorry, Danny Sapani, who plays Captain.
Right.
They are really, really weak characters. Can you just imagine a world where we replace the Admiral with the Christian Avasarala from Expanse?
Oh my God, yes. Oh,
I mean,
100%. Because she is a commanding
That just blew
actor.
your mind, didn't it? That just blew your mind, didn't it?
100% that blew my mind.
Because that's the problem. An Admiral is supposed to be... She's a great actress.
Intimidating.
And maybe she's got limited material to work with, and I'm sorry, Shabana, but I mean, that does not, by any stretch of the imagination, come off as an Admiral who should be kicking ass, shouting at people, swearing at people. Like, she just comes off as so weak and unsure of herself and defensive. The same thing with Captain. I mean, he's a huge guy. He's never bellowing. He's just always so deferential and worried about.
Fan cast him.
Who
Who do you think should be playing him? I have an idea in mind as to who could do it.
Who's your suggestion?
Lance
I don't have
Reddick.
one that comes to mind. Who's Lance Reddick?
He was the lieutenant in The Wire.
Lance Reddick?
Yeah, he's like.
Oh yeah, that tall drink of water.
Yeah.
Yes. Bring him in.
Yes.
What's he been in lately?
He's done a lot of like video game voiceover. So like he also is well versed in the space. In the. I know.
I remember him. He was in John Wick.
That's right. He plays Chiron in John Wick.
Yeah.
So I think he could be a commanding presence as well.
I mean, that's really one of my problems with is just the UNSC. We haven't been introduced to a lot of people. And also, we haven't been introduced to any soldiers. There's no like kind of G.I. Joe type guy. This is where they could put in someone like Channing Tatum and be like, okay, you're not a Spartan, but you're a Marine and you're a really tough Marine. They could also have like 2 or 3 of these people. How we saw, for example, in Transformers, right? Mm-hmm. Who is it doing Transformers? Like have 2 or 3 Marines that, we're introduced to, and they're pretty tough guys. Yeah. They may not be Spartans. Yeah, Josh Duhamel. So my problem is that it's improved dramatically this episode because finally I don't know where it's going, and there's all these like, I guess, all this conflict and all this deception, and no one really trusts anybody anymore. But like you said, there's really only good and bad, right? The Covenant and the humans. But the longer term is that there's just no one in UNSC that makes that to be like a force of nature. If they had a better admiral, they had a better captain. Who's above the admiral and captain? That one old dude that we've never really caught his name or like learned anything about. Let's expand this universe a little bit more and make it like a little bit more well-rounded. Have the Marines say, hey, see, we don't need the Spartan program. Cut the Spartans loose. They're just a bunch of problems, right? Let's have a little bit more intrigue, I think would go a long way. But with all those criticisms being said, now I'm not sure where McKee goes. Like remember when she kind of pulled that microchip laser out of her finger?
Pulled it out of her. Oh man, gory, huh?
I mean, I didn't know that was going to happen. I was kind of thinking it was, like a USB drive or something, and she was going to hack into a computer and get something, or she was going to like, I was really not sure if it was like an explosive, if she was going to like get some information from Master Chief or what it was. But it seemed to be like she was saying, hey, fuck it. Like, I'm with can we say that? Forget about it. I'm with the,
Too late,
I'm with the
yes.
humans now. We'll fix it in post-production. I'm with the humans now. I don't need this laser pointer coming on my finger. I'm going to put it down the drain, you know? And that was like her commitment to like, yes, I'm a human and look how good this is. It feels great to have human sex. No more alien sex. We're on the same page now.
Yeah.
All is good in my life, right?
Yeah. So look, I agree with you. There are certain elements of this which are intriguing. My feeling is that it's maybe a little bit too many different vectors of conflict, first of all. And second of all...
You and I are never happy. There's not ever the right amount of conflict.
No, I'll tell you what I'm happy about. No more Kwan Ha, right? And
yes.
Again, with all due respect to her as an actor, her storyline was horrendous, and I'm glad that that's more or less over with, right?
It's not over.
Well,
dude,
no,
it's not
at least
over.
In this episode, you're right.
We just got a 1 week vacation.
Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen. So let me give you, in my opinion, this is the Pete takes a meandering guess as to what was going to happen.
Our new segment, Pete takes a meandering guess.
Right? And this could be potentially a hot take as well, sponsored by Tabasco.
Oh.
So, I think...
Sponsored by Tabasco.
I think what's going to happen now is that Halsey is going to escape because she's got her ship. I think she's going to somehow have deduced through whatever, because Cortana was with her for that brief moment, she's going to deduce something about the portal that could potentially lead to Halo. So she's going to book it to Madrigal. I think the Covenant are going to go also somehow figure that out and head to Madrigal. And also, I think they actually made a reference, right? That they had escaped to Madrigal, or there was a second half of the artifact was there.
Yeah.
I think that while this is all happening, the Covenant's main forces are going to come and attack Reach. I think Halsey's going to see something like that happen. She's going to make a sacrifice play to at the end of the episode, quote unquote, killing herself. And again, I suspect that. How did we end? Just remind me quickly. How did we end with Master Chief? Was he? He was.
I mean, the explosion basically knocked him away from.
That's right, and they ended up back
Riz
on Halo,
and
right?
from Bannock.
Yeah,
and then she basically broke up with him on Halo. Said, "Hey, like that's it for me. There's no more us." And he's like, "What just happened? Like 15 minutes ago, we were canoodling in bed, and now my two fellow Spartans just beat me up, and you're breaking up with me." Like.
Yeah,
it's quite a turn of events.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there's going to be, again, I'm not sure. We're still not sure if this is them being physically transported somewhere or mentally being transported somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I think there's going to be a sacrifice play made by Halsey. I think John is going to end up stranded on Halo, doing the right thing, trying to save humanity. I just... The whole thing has really thrown me for a loop. Like, I was already unhappy with the show because they weren't going with the lore, but I think they've gone so far away from the lore that I'm just like, none of it makes sense anymore. And if you were going to be so insistent on not following the lore, why does it have to star Master Chief? It could have been any other Spartan in the program.
Yeah, there's a very good point, Pete, which is, you're right. There was. If to the extent that the Halo fans out there are not happy with how this has played out, the anticipation should have been that was coming, right? It should not have been a surprise that if you don't follow lore, if you're not faithful to the story, that people are going to be unhappy. The easy way around that is to be like, hey, this is a different story.
Yeah.
Yeah? And just change Master Chief to a different number.
Yeah. And have Master Chief come in as a cameo if you really are desperate.
Or identify that there's multiple Master Chiefs, and this is just like there's different unit heads. this was a different Master Chief. Change it up a little bit so that you get away from that. Because for someone like me, who didn't know Halo as intimately as you, that wouldn't have impacted it at all. You know, they could have just called him Chief. He's not the Master Chief. He's just Chief 117, right?
Yeah.
Or even make him 116. Something else, it would have been okay. And you still could have had the Halo idea, but it wouldn't have jammed up everyone's perception of, hey, that's not how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, that you're right. I think the main problem is I'm hung up on the deviation from the lore. And a very simple and very elegant way would have been to say, hey, Master Chief is in this universe, but this isn't a story about Master Chief.
Yeah.
And that's
it's not
fine.
his story.
And then you take all the creative liberties you want to, it's understandable, right? But I don't know. It's not jiving for me. Oh, and I was somehow expecting the introduction of the Flood at the end of this season, but I
What's
don't.
the Flood?
So that's the main bad guy of the first trilogy, or race of bad guys in the first Halo video game trilogy. I don't know if that's going to happen anymore, but it's basically because of the Flood that that some of the Covenant end up working with the Spartans. So I don't know where they go from here. It's so muddled that way. I don't know if they're even going to bother with the Flood. If they're not, I just no idea.
I mean, has there been an announcement about season 2?
There hasn't. And I think they haven't done that because also basically every online article or review about the show has either been very neutral or incredibly negative. And the incredibly negative reviews are coming from people who are fans of the video game, which frankly speaking, they should have anticipated. And if they didn't, that's really dumb. Like that would have been really such a simple oversight on their part.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
This is really a case study. I mean,
yeah.
If you back up a little bit, this is really a case study in terms of how you treat an intellectual property, right? And before you greenlight anything, and you start to appoint the people who are going to be, let's call it, the guardians of this intellectual property,
caretakers, right? Yeah.
You should really understand, like, hey, before we get started, or before we even make a hiring decision as to who the caretaker is, are we going to follow the comic book? Are we going to follow the video game? Or are we going to do something different? And if we're doing something different, why? And if we're doing something different, are we all prepared for how this is going to potentially create a backlash? How it's going to, cannibalize, what we've already created and spent a lot of money developing, and I think those are questions that you really have to ask at the beginning. Like, how do you feel about, let's talk about like other intellectual properties. Like, how do you compare this with like other games turned into movies? How do you compare this with other comic books turned into movies? Like, is there anything that you've seen that's deviated so dramatically from the lore the way this has? Comic books, maybe the distinction.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's deviated this much. I think if you look at the DC universe and if you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they've been relatively good about saying some things we're going to deviate, but those deviations that they've made have been relatively small and not huge. Yeah. And even then, they're also deviations that kind of made sense. Right? Which is, maybe a little bit of modernization of the characters, a little bit of more empathy for those characters or for those bad guys and so forth. Like origin of, Ultron, slight differences there, but nothing that I think caused like a massive uproar in the comic book community. And maybe there is, but it's nothing that I can think of. Yeah. There was one that me as a comic fan, I did not like. And that was how in Iron Man 3 they handled the Mandarin. But then, to Marvel's credit, they really kind of dealt with that issue with Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So I think that they did a relatively good job in that sense. But
I was just going to point out maybe two distinctions are, comic books by their nature are very, they're not really literary works. It's focused on pictures and ideas and a little bit of like, subject background, right? Whereas a video game really is intended to be immersive, and Halo particularly was known for kind of being story heavy, and maybe even, it was kind of like the Microsoft flagship on Xbox, which itself was quite revolutionary.
Definitely.
It by itself was something different than, there's a lot of comic books. There's a lot of stories. They've been, evolving a little bit time after time after time. There was only kind of one Halo, and it was modern. So it wasn't something that was really subject to kind of like liberties of interpretation. Maybe that's one of the distinctions in terms of how these things were handled, right?
Yeah.
Or how they should have been approached. But again, as someone who I wasn't into Halo, I've played Halo, but I bet I've played it like with my cousins for like an hour total, like really 60 minutes, just kind of like running around and being shot at. I didn't have a very good sense of the story. But here I feel like there's probably two things at play, which is this show is a little bit clumsy in terms of how it's designed, in terms of how it's cast. It's just not tight like you see from Marvel or even from DC, right?
Exactly.
Even The Boys, to be honest, on Amazon is better produced than this thing. I'm just struck by how gray and open and empty all the sets are, all the dialogue. It's really dramatic to me. Couple that with the fact that, they're deviating from a storyline, and I think it makes it that much more dramatic. If it was better cast, if it was better produced, you could maybe get away with some variations in the storyline. But the fact that those two things aren't really tight makes the absence of a good story that much more dramatic to deal with.
I think you're absolutely right.
But I thought number 8 was the season finale. I was wrong on that. There's one more, right?
There is one more. Because if this were the season
coming?
finale, it wouldn't, I think it would have left too many things unanswered. So I think that comes out on Thursday.
Oh, I was happy with that being a season finale. I was like, this is great. I can't wait for the next one. But now I don't have to wait that long.
Exactly. So let's hold off on maybe final.
But right now, if right now you had to give it a score, I don't think this is a must watch. I think this is absolutely still a mooch. Are you a skip?
Oh, this is 100% a skip for me. This is such a. Whoa. I think it's a skip because, and I do have to explain that to our listeners. If you know anything about the lore, if you understand anything about the game, which frankly speaking, if you're making a TV series based on that, you're hopeful to get to target the fans, right? Because you've got a built-in fan base of several millions, in the tens of millions of people. Why wouldn't you want to get those people to also watch your show and be one of the most popular shows?
Yeah.
So I think.
I've heard the argument, and the argument is like, hey, we've got to build something that's got some broader appeal. We just can't focus on, the gamers. And that makes sense when you hear it the first time. But then when you break it down, it doesn't make sense for two reasons, which is first, if you're not going to recruit your own captive market, then what's the point of having an established intellectual property? You may as well create something totally new.
Exactly.
And then the second part is that why does it have to be a broader appeal? Like, just make what exists really good, and you'll get people to watch who don't necessarily play the video game. It's not like it has to, if it follows the video game lore, that it's not going to appeal to other people. Make it appeal to other people, but satisfy your core audience first. And that seems to be something that's, from what you're telling me, is really lost. I think it's okay. But again, I've been pretty bored with it up until now.
I also look at this show as a potential advertisement, right? Which is to say, hey, you watch the TV show, you never played the games. The gamers who played the games love the TV show, so they're fine, they're satisfied.
Yeah.
But I look at it the other way to say also that, hey, if we make a good show that not only the gamers like, but like, you know, the Ethans who have kind of played the game but not really liked it, not really played it, and you know the others who have not played it at all.
You're totally right.
Wow, I really like this show. I want to get involved more into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go buy an Xbox. I'm going to go play this game.
I got to say, I think that's an absolute fail. You know, and I really wish that there was some type of market feedback that I could give, and they'd say, "Hey, Ethan, you've watched this 8 episodes now. Are you interested in going to Xbox? Are you interested in going to your iPad and downloading this?" I'd say, like, I've got no interest whatsoever. Yeah. Master Chief's uniform is super cool. I don't see anything interesting about this game. Just a lot of hopping and shooting against some elephant-looking aliens. Sorry, not my bag. I haven't seen anything here, you know? It's not like Mandalorian with a cool jetpack, a cool blaster, a cool anything. This is pretty unremarkable for me.
I mean, if I were Microsoft and, you know, I was looking at this, I would see this as a win for Paramount because it's content that's generating a lot of news, good or bad. But for Microsoft, I see this as a total loss because, you know, I'm willing to bet a contingent of Microsoft was thinking, hey, this is a $250 million advertisement for Halo, which means for Xbox. All the press that we've gotten out of this is negative, and we've gained, I don't know, no followers or no new gamers based on this. Yeah. Like, that's a loss for Microsoft.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see what happens at the last episode, but I have to say, I'm really looking forward to that last episode. Pleasant surprise for me. I thought this was the last one. So one more? That's great.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll be very honest. It's been a skip for me for a long time, and I don't expect episode 9 to blow me out of the water.
I would have been flip a coin, skip or mooch up until this last 8th episode. This last 8th episode, I thought like really made it at least a mooch for me. But I mean, to be honest, that's pretty bad. If you have to get to the 8th episode before you're convinced to ask for someone's password, like, that's not the endorsement that anyone wants to hear, right? I mean, what another way of saying that is don't pay for this, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also not the message, you know, that they want.
Correct.
Pete, films and stuff. It's a new week. What do we have on tap for today?
Today we're going to talk about the season finale. I was hoping it was going to be series finale, but clearly they've set up season 2. So the season finale of Halo, episode 9.
We watched 9 episodes, and from my perspective, it was not always easy, but I started very negative on this series. And by 8, I was really enjoying it. 9, slightly a letdown, but I'm still much more excited about it than I was at the start of the season.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say you had a dramatic upswing over, let's say, the last 3 episodes.
Dramatic. And I think you're the opposite. Is that correct?
Yeah, I cratered and I stayed cratered.
Oh,
it was. I think it's also, as you rightly pointed out in our last week recap of episode 8. I think that I have great difficulty separating the show from the games. And even though, and again, full credit to the writers, they did say this, that they were going to make this the quote-unquote silver timeline, and that it was going to be completely separate from the games. It's hard to do that for me. Especially when you have a story that's iconic, and especially when you have a character that's iconic. It's very difficult for me to do that.
I mean, I understand your perspective. Because obviously, we talked about Star Wars recently. You and I are huge Star Wars fans, and we breathe the characters, and if anything is off, or if a subsequent show or episode they're portrayed in a way that we don't consider authentic or consistent, with our vision, then it becomes extremely frustrating. So I understand your perspective, absolutely, and I can't argue against it. And I agree, it seems to be a strategic blunder that these showrunners have made from the beginning, which is for someone like myself who knows of Halo as a game, as an intellectual property, but doesn't really know the lore apart from a few talking points. I'm really not the person that they needed to, that they needed to recruit at the beginning. They needed to recruit you and the other people who really knew and loved the lore and wanted the show to be consistent with that. Because any inconsistency obviously not just frustrates you, but it kind of undermines the purpose of having an intellectual property in the first place. If you've got something that people love, you've got to be consistent with it, else you're alienating them, and you may as well start with an entirely new premise. So I hear your point, and I'm sorry that you're not happy with the series. And at the beginning, I thought it was very slow. I think towards the end, especially episode 8, Allegiance, I thought it was definitely worth my time. Something interesting happened in 9. And 9 for me was the first time visually where it kind of seemed like a video game. Do you remember there was like a scene when they were fighting the Covenant where you kind of saw it was like a first-person
perspective? That's right. That's exactly
the first time they've used this. They didn't use it in the first episode, which I think was a blunder. They didn't use it in that episode like 4 or 5. There was another like fight with the Covenant. It's strange to me that they adapted this for the first time in episode 9. Why do you think that is?
So I don't know how much of the show has been written and produced in advance. I feel like if this was relatively live, which is to say, they were still filming while episode 1 and 2 were out, I think that this would probably be their kind of way of appeasing the fans who are just like, there's no action, this is so slow, and there's no... I understand that you're trying to make this separate from the game, but it's a game property, so you have to kind of at least have things that the game does, so it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So it seemed, you're absolutely right, it seemed way more video gamey, episode 9 did, at least, than any of the other episodes did.
Yeah. I mean, that was the first thing that I noticed from 9, is that whatever planet it was that they went to, that really seemed to be set up like a video game set piece, right? And is that correct? I mean, is the setup of that building or tower that they had the fight at, was that from the game directly?
It's not from
the game directly. I felt
like
the architecture
directly.
Was.
Some of the architecture certainly seems like it based on some of the multiplayer maps, but I don't think that particular building or temple was, or at least I don't remember if it is. But maybe what we should do is do a very, very quick and dirty recap of the episode.
You're right. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah.
So we pick off almost immediately where we left off with episode 8. The Spartans are in a Mexican standoff with Chief. He admits what's going on. He tells them about how Halsey kidnapped the children and made them Spartans. He diffuses the situation. They split up to try to catch, on one hand, they're trying to catch McKee, who's trying to escape with the artifact. And on the other hand, they're trying to capture Halsey. Kai splits off and effectively takes down Halsey's ship by herself. And I like that because it really showcases how the Spartans are as warriors, right? So you get to see a little bit of that. Long story short, they capture her. And as I predicted in the last episode, although not quite right, what we find out is that the Halsey that they capture isn't Halsey, but a clone of Halsey, as the real Halsey has escaped because she knows now that she is a war criminal, and she's on the run. Again, not a fan of that, but, given that they've kind of made her the big bad of the human race, it's, okay, forget it. I'm not going to go into why I think that's a terrible thing, but fine, it happened. So now she's on the run and kind of escaped, and everyone knows that that's what she's capable of. Kwan Ha's story was done 2 episodes ago. We don't even hear from her, and we'll get back to why I think that was such a stupid thing to do. And then finally what happens is Master Chief convinces them that instead of doing a full frontal assault, they know where the Covenants are. They figure it out. He convinces them to take a group of Spartans there. The 4 Spartans go, they kind of make up with each other, and they get to the Covenant, let's say home planet or base planet, wherever everyone is. They stage an assault to get the artifacts back. McKee realizes that she was also going to be double-crossed by the Covenant. She goes to Halo, and I don't know why or how. Maybe I missed this, maybe you didn't, but she dies on the Halo, right? Or she collapses on the Halo. And then while that's happening, very quickly it turns out that the Spartans are outnumbered big time. Even with Cortana's help, they're not able to really take care of the situation and get out of it. So finally, Chief acquiesces, and he says, Cortana, there's only one way we're going to get out of this, because he has a choice to make. He can either take the artifact and get out of there, or he can save the Spartans and get out of there. For that convoluted reason, he wasn't able to do both. Finally, he says, we have a third option. Cortana, you take over my body the way that Halsey intended you to. Take over the body and do both, because by holding on to the artifact as Cortana, she won't activate the artifact, and she's going to be able to control the battlefield to get the Spartans on there. She takes over Chief's body after some hemming and hawing. She saves the day. She kicks ass. She calls in the Pelican. They get all the Spartans on there, who are all literally bleeding and ribcage exposed.
Yeah, Riz was in very bad shape.
Riz was in terrible shape. And they get out of there, and the show ends with Cortana still as Master Chief, controlling Master Chief, and that's it. That's how the show ends. With a zoom in on Master Chief's face. Where is Master Chief in all this? I don't know. Does that mean that Master Chief no longer is there and that Cortana is going to be controlling him forever now? We don't know. Kai kind of tries to talk to him, and he looks at her but ignores her. So even she knows something's wrong, and that's how the season ends.
So where should we start from here? Because I feel like this, at least the last 2 episodes, were very much written, as you mentioned, after the series started. And after there was a little bit of feedback, and the showrunners just kind of said, oh shit, yeah, let's quick make some adjustments. We can only make the adjustments in 8 and 9, or maybe 7, 8, and 9. Let's make some changes based on the feedback that we're getting, and try to improve things. I felt a very different tone in the last 2 episodes. I hear your point. This is kind of going all over the place. And one of the things I noticed is that Kwan Ha, who was so prominent, just shoved down my consciousness. I don't want to say throat, just shoved at me. Now she has totally disappeared. And I feel like they've killed off the storyline because it was so negatively received by the fans. I cannot come up with any other practical reason why they would just ignore the storyline, this plot for the last 2 episodes.
A total waste of at least 3, maybe 4 episodes worth of screen time. That they could have made this instead of 9 episodes. I think they could have squeezed this down to 6 and eliminated the Kwan Ha storyline, because ultimately it served no function in this season. And if you're setting it up for season 2, great. You could have done that in 1 episode and thrown it back and left it at that. At most, one episode. The Quan Ha storyline really affected the pacing of the whole series.
You're right.
It was the least liked subplot, and it was so it was so influential on everything else unnecessarily that you're just like, I don't understand why it's there. They could have had that opening in that first opening episode. They could have eliminated all the subterfuge about what her parents are there for and why that they're protecting the portal. They could have ended this ended this Quan Ha storyline then and there with Master Chief saving the day, finding the artifact, finding out the portal is there, or even if they don't find out, we the viewers could have found out that there's a special portal also that the Quan Ha family is meant to protect. And that's it. You don't have to refer to it ever again. But it's something that's a callback for us in season 2. It would have been like Chekhov's portal. We would have understood that it's being introduced because it will play an important part. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Instead, we had 5-6 episodes where she is rammed down our consciousness unnecessarily. And, again, this is no disrespect to the actor. I'm sure she's very nice, but this is another episode. This is another case where bad writing is negatively going to affect the actor unfairly.
Can we take a positive though, Pete? Can we say, and maybe I'm looking for the silver lining, but for me, if the showrunners or the writers heard us, right? Maybe not specifically our podcast, although it's possible, but if they heard the fans say, we don't like Quan Ha, we don't like Madrigal, this is boring, talk about the Covenant. If they heard that feedback and they changed 8 and 9 because of that, we can take that as a positive though, right?
Only if they really go all in season 2 with that criticism ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot that they changed about Master Chief from the games, which is, I think, 90% of the criticism, I think, goes into that, right? And then if they continue, the problem is now you've got a Master Chief that's more or less a robot. So personality-wise may be more aligned with the Master Chief from the video games, but still not quite the Master Chief. That's a change I'll meet them halfway. That's a change I'm willing to accept. Yeah. If we're getting at a Master Chief that is more aligned with what the video game is. So that is something that I will say, I will take the first step and say, fine. If that's how you want to go, fine. But then don't walk it back.
I like that you put the olive branch out there.
Don't walk it back in seasons. I am. Because, again, this is serving towards making Master Chief more amenable to me in the show. And if that's the way you want to do it, absolutely fine. But then absolutely do not walk it back. You can still have Pablo Schreiber. You can still have him do all the acting that he's doing. But don't walk it back and say that now there's going to be a fight between Cortana and Pablo Schreiber in like this white space that's supposed to represent his mind, where she wants to control his body, but he doesn't let her. It's something similar to what we've seen in Moon Knight, where you have two personalities, right? I don't want to see that. I want to see whatever Master Chief ends up being more like the Master Chief I know and love, which it seems like it was by the end of the episode, to be honest. I didn't like that they had to have Cortana take control of him to do that. But again, my olive branches, if that's the way you want to go to make it work for you, fine, stick to it.
So, Pete, let me ask you a little bit about the lore, and you can educate me and some of the other listeners, okay? Mm-hmm. So, what traditionally happens to Makee? Like, she's somehow raised by the Covenant?
I don't remember her from the games, I'll be very honest. In fact, I don't think she is in the games.
So, but I guess, okay, so then forget the lore, but like the understanding I should have is that the Covenant for a long time has been looking for Halo. Yeah. They identified Makee somewhere, somehow, and said, hey, she's special. She will have some type of relationship with the artifact. How? Or is this just luck? Where did they adopt her from that she comes into this? Because they call her like the chosen one or the special one or something, right? Like,
right.
How do they know this? They've never had the artifact before, have they?
That's the other thing, is you are basically introducing a character that's supposed to be like the psychological, in terms of special powers, equivalent to Master Chief on the Covenant side, right?
Yeah.
But we don't really know anything about her. Even by the end of the season, we don't know anything about her. We know that she was like this orphan abandoned on this trash planet and gets taken by the Covenant for unknown reasons. And then they find out that she's potentially got the gift. Mm-hmm. How do they find out? I'm not 100% clear on. Okay. Whether how they exploit that, not 100% clear on. What happened to her on that ring in her mind? Did she die? Did she not die? Not clear on that either. And if that was them trying to set up like a cliffhanger for season 2, not great, because again, you already have the big bad guys in the Covenant. And what I suspect is going to happen is that they are going to now do a storyline in season 2 where either in season 2 or before season 2 starts, you're going to have the Covenant attack the Earth, the human forces, on Reach. Mm-hmm. And I think they're going to destroy Reach. And if that happens, then you're more aligned to what's going on in the video games, because that was like the kickoff point for the video games as well. But I don't know where McKee's place in all of this fits. And it's not because it's because she's not in the video games, and frankly speaking, it's very muddled as to why she's important in the show.
I mean, I guess the assumption I make is that the Covenant has somehow identified her as special, and they know in order to access Halo, they need her, but they're being very nice to her and making her feel special. But essentially, it seems that their long-term plan was they would just use her to access Halo, and then like they'd sacrifice her, or she'd die or something, and that was the end of it, right? She wasn't really that deep down important to her. Because when I was introduced to her, I guess, I can't remember if it's episode 1 or 2, she kind of seemed like she was royalty. But now we see she wasn't royalty. She was kind of like a house guest, that they treated
that they're using,
well.
Right?
Yeah, but they always kind of thought like, hey, let's just make her feel like she's one of us and she's our friend. And
exactly.
But it seemed like they were always ready to sacrifice her now. But then, again, I'm not clear if she's died at the end. I mean, I could kind of see it going either way. But she doesn't have the artifact, and she doesn't have the Covenant behind her. And to be honest, there's no UNSC on the planet anymore. So I'm not sure how she would even like kind of come back from this, right?
Yeah,
she doesn't have a ship. She doesn't have any support, like nothing, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Honestly,
she doesn't have her finger. Yeah,
she doesn't have the finger thing anymore.
Yeah,
this was a situation where they had, and again, if we didn't have the Quan Ha storyline, they could have had time on screen to really show more of the McKee storyline, because the McKee storyline is, I think, going to be prevalent in season 2. What that means, I don't know. Where they go from here, I don't know. I can't even make a speculation because I still don't fully understand what happened. Right? She seemingly dies. Does she die? Does she collapse? What happens? I have no idea.
But isn't that what you want? I mean, isn't that what you want in a season-ending episode? You want a little bit of mystery, and the writers want to build in a little bit of mystery to encourage you to watch season 2, right? There are a lot of answers. Like, there are a lot of questions, not enough answers, as you would say. Isn't that what we're trying to do at the end of a season?
Yes.
Or you just say like, hey, I don't want any suspense. Just tell me everything now. So impatient. Yeah.
First of all, yes, I am impatient. But I think that it's if that's the case, then she shouldn't have been a subplot. I think that if you want her to be a part of the primary plot, And then I think then that's fine, but then they didn't dedicate enough time to her subplot. So that's the issue I have, is that, those kind of cliffhangers are important for when the main when the main storyline is going, right? A great subplot, for example, a great cliffhanger instead would have been that after Chief leaves with the artifact, you see that the Covenant forces prepare a huge armada, maybe 50,000, hundreds of thousands of ships, all heading to Reach. So then you have the thing like, oh, okay, clearly they're going to attack now. What's going to happen? What's not going to happen? We don't know. That's fine. Because for me, the main plot was never Makee. It was always the Covenant. And if that's not the case, then why did you make such a big deal about the Covenant getting the artifact, then stabbing Makee in the back? You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's a little bit muddled as to which is the primary plot, which is the subplot. And for the cliffhanger to have real value and to have real effect has to come from the primary plot, not the subplot.
I mean, the primary plot, I agree, needs to take on more prominence in season 2. The longer term concern I have about this show is that there's just not a lot of characters. I mean, throughout this season, we've kind of bemoaned the fact that there's just not a lot of conflict, right? And we finally got a little bit of conflict, at episodes 8 and 9. Now all the Spartans are aligned again. Okay. We know that Halsey is gone. Okay. But the UNSC for me is not at all remarkable. There's no one there. Between Admiral, General, and the daughter. None of those, and those are the only 3 that we know, by the way.
Yeah.
And on all of the humans, we only know 3 people, 4 with Makee, and 4 with Halsey. There's no people in this show. So if they kill off Makee, we're down to 3 very boring military people. The Spartans as a group. And are we going back to Madrigal? I mean, I just feel like there's not a lot of stuff to talk about unless they're going to introduce someone. And usually the universe becomes a little bit broader again as you go on. If we lost Makee, I'm just not sure what there is to talk about here. Yeah. It's just going to turn into a first-person shooter show, Spartans versus Covenant, with Halsey somehow manipulating things on the side. Hopefully we don't go back to Magical, but I think we're going to have to if there's going to be a second season. We have to, because
right? they spent so much of the season there to set up this portal. Where is the portal to? I still think it somehow leads to one of the Halos or the Halo. I don't even know if there are multiple Halos in this universe or not. We'll see. But they're not that bad that they would even do that. They wouldn't talk about the portal ever again.
Yeah. It's just mucked up. I agree. Even though I liked 8 and 9 episodes, I mean, I don't have any excitement for season 2. And I think that's one of the things you mentioned, which is show the Armada gathering. Give me something to get me excited. Just the fact of whether or not Makee is dead or alive. And either way I could go, right? I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot that comes from either one of them. Her storyline's kind of reached its limit, I'm just kind of not excited about what's next. There has to be a big battle. I agree with you. I mean, they have to go to Reach. Otherwise, what else is left? Or they go to Madrigal and they're both chasing, the portal. But
they had a lot of hours of television, and they. Again, too many mysteries, not enough solutions. They wasted a lot of that time to. It's good to have a few question marks at the end of the series, but not this many, right? And it's tough to then say what keeps you compelled about wanting to watch season 2. Makee dying on that ring, Makee dying off that ring when Kai shot her. Yeah. And then question mark of whether she's alive or not is not compelling on its own. certainly not compelling enough to want to watch season 2. There may be a little bit of compelling. It might be a little compelling to see what's going on with Master Chief now that he looks more like the Master Chief in the game. He's certainly behaving like it now that Cortana's taken over. What does that mean? I don't know. But certainly nothing is left on the way this ends. Certainly not compelling enough for me to say, oh my God, I wish this were next year already so I could see the next season.
I mean, there's just not, I keep harping on that. There's not enough characters. Admiral is boring. Dr. Miranda, kind of boring. Captain, totally boring, right? Soren's on Madrigal. Halsey, is gone. And her assistant, Adun, died, right? I mean,
that Cody
Vinsher is on Madrigal. There's no one else in the show.
Vinsher's dead.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect that they should have at least done, the Marines seem utterly worthless. But I'm really surprised that they haven't had like some more internal divisions within the Marine Corps, and at least have someone who's a little bit sympathetic to Halsey, someone who's, back channeling something. They've just haven't introduced enough people at the Marine level, or they haven't introduced them like compellingly that gives us anything on, within the humans. I mean, we're just kind of stuck with, the Spartans, Halsey, who's not heard from anymore, Cortana, who's now part of Master Chief, Makee, we don't even know if she's dead or alive anymore. It just doesn't seem like a big enough set of cast or characters for me to get excited about. And I know that you can find similarities to other shows, Better Call Saul, for example, where there's not a lot of characters and they still make it work. But then there's always something kind of rotating. There's an ongoing plot, an ongoing plan, an ongoing thing. People come back and forth, in and out. There's no one coming in on the UNSC side. And that's shocking to me that you've got this whole Marine Corps, this whole command structure, and they're all essentially worthless. They're not going into battle. When they're in battle, they can't do anything. It's basically the 4 Spartans, Halsey. That's it. That's the army, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And to a certain extent, I get it, because ultimately it is about humankind versus the Covenant. Okay. But then you need to have a little bit more of humankind versus Covenant action. You can even have a subplot where you have like a human sympathizer who agrees with the Covenant, who's working in the back channels of the military or of the Navy, right? So that you have a little bit more conflict there. There's a lot that they could do, but they just haven't done it yet. And that makes this show not compelling for me to watch. Despite the action sequences. And by the way, the action sequence on overall was okay, but it seemed very, very computer animated. Yeah. It seemed far more fake than the first one that we saw in episode 1. And like episode 1 was already not that great.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked when they did when they jumped from the ship, from the Pelican. I thought that was cool. I thought the way they landed was cool. I thought like having a bunch of sand on them was cool. But then I kind of felt like they were in this like Legend of Zelda, like animated space, with like just this open desert, couple
temple.
Random palm trees, this temple that seemed like it was made from like Minecraft blocks. And then like,
why couldn't this have been in the middle of a Covenant city? Yeah, why couldn't this have been a little bit more engaging as an environment?
It just seemed like set up, and then obviously the action sequence where it was kind of first person shooter. I just remember like, oh, this is the Halo I remember. You see the gun, you see like how many rounds are left to be fired, and it was just, I really felt like a lot of pandering. Like, whoa, someone's gotten the criticism. Microsoft shared a memo saying, hey, make it look like the game. And the guy's like, great.
Out.
Yeah. And someone's like, okay, well, have a shooting scene and we'll show this first person and let's use the gun. And I wish I was more excited. Even though I liked 8 and 9, I have a rating of 1 in terms of excitement for season 1. I thought season 2. I thought season 1 ended on a good note, but I'm just not enthusiastic about what's coming next.
Yeah, and unsurprisingly, as you would expect, this is definitely a 1 for me. We will definitely continue watching. Don't get me wrong.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Certainly, this is not. You do not want to, get Paramount Plus for this. You do not want to borrow someone's password for this. It's not a compelling enough show to sit and watch. And frankly speaking, it's not even a compelling enough show to have sitting in the background.
Well, there's something, you hit something, Pete, that's important as well, which is a lot of these shows, like you and I can talk about them, but they're also popular, like culturally, And this is a show that unfortunately, kind of apart from Halo fans or people that know Halo, no one else is getting excited about this. They haven't done anything to get anyone else enthused about this show. So then I'm a little bit limited in terms of who I can talk to this about, right? Let's talk. I mean, we're going to talk about some other things later today, right? We can talk about Nicolas Cage. I can talk about Nicolas Cage movies to my cousins, to my friends, to other people, right? Lincoln Lawyer, the same thing applies, right? There's so many other movies and shows that even if other people aren't watching them, there's just some general applicability in terms of chatting with people about it. Halo has not gotten that general
Absolutely not.
cultural acceptance. And if it doesn't have that, there's not a critical reason to watch it, because you don't have to worry about either hearing spoilers for someone else or not being able to talk to someone else about the latest episode. You and I can now watch it at our own pace when it comes out, or binge it when it's all released. Either way, we're not missing out on anything because there's no real driver for being current on it, right?
Yeah. And to those people who are listening who think, well, it's a niche thing, it's a sci-fi show, it may not have that cachet. I point right back to you and say, hey, let's look at Game of Thrones. That is also a niche thing, right? Yeah. High fantasy. It's got different races in there. Yeah. It's got different kinds of cultures in there. That is not, your typical drama series that you would see, on any TV series, on any network. Yet, culturally, one of the most significant shows of the early 2000s or mid 2010s. It is a show that everybody and their mother was talking about. To the point where if you weren't current on Game of Thrones, you were scared to go talk to your friends because if they were current on it, you'd get something spoiled.
I would also say, you're right about that. We could probably come up with a lot of examples, but, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, for example, those are shows that are based on, obviously the Star Wars intellectual property. But almost everybody, that's an exaggeration, a lot of people got really excited and into those, even if they weren't big Star Wars fans, right? And Halo hasn't done the job to recruit non-video gamers to be excited about their show, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can find like a list or example somewhere else, but that to me is an issue, which is it's a known intellectual property that should have all the existing gamers super excited to watch, and it should have enough buzz. Microsoft. It's on, where are we watching it? We're watching it on Netflix.
Paramount Plus.
We're watching it on Paramount Plus. It should have enough buzz that, a good part of the population or the segment is in tune with it also,
So Halo Season 1, it's a big skip for me. I think you shouldn't bother wasting your time. And that's maybe, and I fully appreciate that's me being harsh, but I look at the slate of shows that we have coming up. I look at the slate of shows that we've watched. This is, even if this were somehow miraculously a mooch, it would be on the bottom of my list. And this isn't even good enough for that.
I mean, I'm giving it a mooch. And that's exactly what it sounds like it is, which is wait until, you've got someone else's password and watch it on theirs, but please absolutely don't spend the money on Paramount Plus, which has its own issues in terms of, having enough content. But you should go ahead and mooch it if you can, but don't worry if you miss it.
Agreed.
To say. Pete, thank you for your time, and we'll pick this up in season 2 for Halo, and let's see if we can try to improve your outlook towards this franchise.
Fingers crossed. Look, I remain eternally optimistic, but we'll see how things go in 23 when they come out with season 2. If it even gets renewed, by the way, we haven't heard if it's getting renewed or not.
What's your guess? Should we take a guess right now or a bet right now?
Yeah, I think it gets renewed with a revamped writing staff.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. And in fact, it would not be surprising to me if it almost looked like a little bit of a different show. You know, like it skipped forward, or there's a big lapse and they kind of said, look, like whatever happened. Let's try to clean this thing up. We've got too much invested in it, not just in season 1, but also in the entire Halo franchise. Let's clean this up. Let's start all over again, and let's just kind of go from here. And,
let's do a jump forward in time a couple of years. Reach has already happened. We can do some flashbacks into the war, and we're in the middle of the war with the Covenant. We still haven't figured out what these artifacts do, and then we do in season 2. Yeah. I'm okay with that. It gives it a soft reboot without being a reboot.
Okay. I think that's what we're both expecting then. Let's see
how it goes. Hoping for. Yeah.
But they haven't made any announcements yet, correct?
None that I've seen.
It's coming. But I expect it won't come yet. Yeah. It'll take some time.
I think they'll need to take some time, and I think they'll really think about what the showrunners did with it and what they did wrong with it. Before they commit publicly. Because if they commit right now publicly, I think they're going to get even more backlash and even more vitriol.
Maybe Microsoft will reach out to Films and Stuff for some back channel ideas about how they can rectify
Phil Spencer, we're listening. We're always there. Listening. I'm a huge fan of yours. I've been a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber since it was launched. I'm there for you, buddy. We're ready to fix this for you.
We're ready for you. Okay.
Yes, that's right.
That's a very passionate plea. Maybe we should do this on Debate Club. Why Films and Stuff should be appointed as the guardians of this new franchise.
Of any franchise.
Any franchise.
We should be Michael Bay's next stop. I'm telling you, that nuclear water vessel ship thing idea that we had.
Did we agree on what we're going to call the name of that movie?
We haven't yet. But I still think we should write a one-page plot summary for everyone.
Like a treatment.
Yeah.
Can you remind our listeners what it's about?
So we go. It's about either a nuclear submarine or a nuclear vessel that's been decommissioned.
Yes.
Somewhere out in the Atlantic, coming in from Europe.
Well, I think is it Atlantic? I feel like this is Pacific. Could be Atlantic.
We can do Pacific too. It depends on who we want the bad guys to be. If we want the bad guys to be, an Asian terrorist cell or a European terrorist cell or an African or Middle Eastern terrorist cell, that'll determine the base of operations for this. And then the idea is that there's a convoy of ships securing this decommissioned nuclear vessel of some sort that needs to be taken back to America, and a terrorist cell is trying to go in there and either steal the ship or steal the nuclear material, a la The Rock, and get out of there. And it's up to one Coast Guard guy who wasn't even meant to be there. He's over the hill and he has to save the day.
Pete, I've got it. Tell me if you like this backstory. Okay, there is a U.S. naval base in Guam, right?
Oh,
they have a nuclear submarine that has been decommissioned. However, there is a hurricane or tsunami warning, so they have to bring this decommissioned sub back to Hawaii, right? So they've got to use like this old freighter, whatever they've got like on the Guam base on short notice. They're short staffed, so they've got just like a cranky old captain and some other like ragtag crew, right? And of course they've got like Rihanna's like the beautiful command like mechanic or something, just like in Battleship, right? Yep. So this crew has to get the decommissioned nuclear sub, which they're dragging with cables, across to Hawaii. And that's when our team of pirates identifies this, and they've got their eyes set on it, and they're trying to, steal it from our team.
Exactly.
What do you think of this? This backstory works?
I love it. It's great because you've got the dual sense of, you're fighting nature to get this ship back in time, but at the same time, weather. It's you need that weather effect to also act as like the cover for when these guys are actually going to execute the heist.
Yep.
And you've got that grizzled old guy. And remember, we talked about potentially he's going through a divorce or he's been divorced, and his wife, and so his kid goes with him on the ship for the summer vacation.
Oh, this is it.
And he doesn't want to be there, but he's there. And then he somehow gets the kid involved because the kid becomes like collateral damage as like someone that the pirates either kidnap or something, and he becomes the man on the inside who helps his dad. And
Pete, totally
the ending of the movie is, they sail into Pearl Harbor, and the mother runs onto the ship, and the kids collide, and they share a look where it looks like they could get back together, but they probably won't because they were divorced for so many other reasons.
Yeah. No, Pete, this is exactly it. So the nuclear physicist and his son go to Guam because they're going to like decommission the nuke. And they think that this is going to be like a 4-week project.
Experience. Yeah.
And they think it's like a 4-week project on the base. But then because of this unexpected tsunami, then the timeline gets expedited and they realize instead they're going to have to tow it to Honolulu. So they say, we're not qualified for this. We've never done such a thing. I'm just a nuclear physicist. I'm here with my wrenches and sockets, and I'm just supposed to like decommission it. Say, there's no time for that. You're going to have to tow it, right? And that's when the ragtag crew is forced into towing it.
That's right. And then and also then you have to have that ship. If the ship gets jostled in the waves too much, the thing's going to go off, and he's got
limited to the speed.
Exactly. It's the reverse speed. You can't go more than 20 knots. Otherwise, the whole thing's going to blow up.
They're like, the wind is pushing us too fast. Slow down. Drop the anchor. Right?
Yeah, and then you can have like the CGI effects of like the anchors in the waves pulling water, pulling the sand down.
Yes.
Oh, man. This is 100% a Michael Bay movie. And, of course, as they're coming closer and you think it's all over, the pirates are going to win, all of a sudden out of the sky comes 3 F-35 Raptors flying out and dropping a payload and blowing up the pilots at the last possible second. And everyone gets hurt, but everyone's okay at the end. Oh, man.
What kind of pirates do you think we have? I'm trying to really work out where these pirates are coming from and how they know about this.
So the idea is that if it's pirates, we could just say that they're pirates as the cover story, but it's really like a group of like sexy femme fatales who are in there trying to secure the nuclear material. Everyone thinks that they're trying to steal the ship or something else, but the real mission is the actual missile, the nuclear missiles or whatever it is.
What would you think? I'm just going to put this out there. You tell me what you think about this. What if it's a rogue group of from the military base itself?
Yeah, or exactly. This will be like The Rock, right? Where you have like a splinter of like the U.S. military who's actually funding this. Yeah, I like that too. That might be too much like The Rock, but I love that idea. Oh, maybe instead of the Navy, it's the Air Force that's trying to get after it, right? So it's competing branches of the military.
I'm trying to think of like a different U.S. base where it's possible. Like I don't think this works in Guam. With all my respect to the Guam Navy, which I don't think is inherently strong. But if it was something like, say, the Philippines, and like the Philippines Navy like resented for years, that the U.S. military had something on their base, and they're saying, "Wait a second, you're taking this nuke. This is our defense mechanism." Just because you're downsizing the base and you're removing this nuke, we need to steal this back. This is our protection. We need to be a nuclear power. If we can come up, right?
I love it. And
because then you've got like
there's a clandestine mission against the president of the Philippines or whatever it is, right? Or the military leader.
It's like a military coup, so to speak.
Yes.
And then that's when like the nuclear physicist father, although it could be a sexy nuclear physicist mother, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
has to grab her ragtag group of like a few mechanics and some other folks,
like
and
this
her
old grizzled
son or daughter,
tugboat sail captain.
Yes,
right. Like the guy who's been on the sea, like the old salty sea dog.
Yeah, like Scotty in Star Trek, like it'll hold, like
yeah. He's the guy who empties out the bottle of whiskey into the engine. That'll give us an extra 5 horsepower. We'll get out of this yet.
No, you're like, slow it down. We're going too fast.
Yeah.
So he pours whiskey. That'll slow her down. Okay, so I like this, but we need a really clever name.
Clever name, but also not complicated, right? Think of Michael Bay's, all of his movies are, 1-2 words and super simple. Armageddon, Rock, Ambulance.
It's gotta be like C. It's gotta have the word C in it. Like aggressive word with the word C. Aggressive word with the word C. It's gotta be like.
Are you Googling that?
Yeah. It's gotta be it's got to be something like Sea Storm, Sea something, yeah.
Ocean Master.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I think that's a bad guy in a DC universe. I take that back.
Deep Water's already been taken. Right?
Deep Water's been taken. So has Deep Impact, which would have also been great.
How about Rock the Boat? Rock the Boat.
Rock the Boat.
Loose Cannon. Plain Sailing. It's got to be something like this.
Deep Horizon.
Yeah, like
we gotta noodle on this some more. But I really like this. This is a premise that I think will work, right? And it has to be released like for a July 4th weekend release.
Oh yeah.
Right, where it's like pro-Americana, flags everywhere. The what's that special group of air squadrons that releases the red
Blue
smoke?
Angels.
The Blue Angels. Exactly.
I agree. I need something like this, but I think it's got to have the word Seaquake. How about Seaquake?
Seaquake. Sequest. Oh no, that was another show.
Is Sequest a show?
I think it was a show or a cartoons show when I was a kid. I can't remember.
All right. Let's something like this. Come up, please. Someone send us a good idea, because I think that's where it is. And I do think that Michael Bay could make this an extremely exciting, especially with like the horizon of Honolulu and the harbor and the lights and
with the sun coming up, and you can see the outlines of a battleship.
Yeah.
It's 100% a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
This is 100% of Michael Bay. And now that he's got drones involved in his filmmaking, it's like he can do some creative shots with that. He can even do like ROV underwater stuff with cameras.
I was just going to say, this is where it has to go. At the penultimate scene has to be the nuke. Like they have to take like some type of like motor that draws the nuke like to the bottom of the ocean, like a mile off the coast of Honolulu. It has to like explode in the water. And I imagine that it'll just be like this rain of like pellets coming down on Honolulu, like with a rainbow and like with an American flag in the background, like all the Michael Bay, like kind of pyrotechnics, but underwater instead. It could be his crowning achievement, yeah? Sea explosion. It could be. Sea explosion.
I love it.
All right. Let's continue to noodle on this, but I think we've got a pretty good treatment for our good friend Michael Bay to consider.
Michael, please reach out. Aloha at filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
Aloha, which is a Hawaiian term.
Word.
Not a coincidence.
I'm telling you.
For our Pacific Ocean-based speed like Jabba.
We were made for this.
We were made for this. What cameo are you going to have?
What cameo am I going to have? I want to be like one of those, Marine officers who's skeptical about the whole thing and turns out to be totally wrong. You know, like that stereotypical one guy who's just like, no way that could ever happen. Who would even think about attacking the U.S. Navy? We're the greatest naval force in the world. And then he's the guy who ends up with egg on his face.
I'm going to be the guy who's in Honolulu Harbor, and I'll have like this lime green Lamborghini, you know, and I'll be like cussing at my date or my girlfriend because like she spilled some coffee on the leather, and I'll be like trying to like blot it out, and then when the explosion underwater happens, it'll show my car just getting filled with water, and like some sea urchins and stuff will be like falling all over it. That's such a Michael Bay like.
That is also You'll have egg like on your face in another
octopus, way. All these like dead octopus tentacles, you know. So I'll be like so upset because like I was just trying to blot out like this one small thing of coffee, and now my whole lime green Lamborghini is ruined.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And you'll be the skeptical guy in Guam who says that could never happen. Don't be absurd, right? No. You'll be the guy in the control tower who's like on the walkie-talkie, like, you do not have clearance to leave the harbor. I'm sorry. Yeah. You've got to, you'll be like, I don't have your proper TPS report form. I'm sorry. You need to file this in triplicate. You're not authorized to leave the harbor, right? And then like the ship is going, and it's like pulling everything, like all the scaffolding is folding down and stuff. And you'll be like, I did not authorize this at all. Yeah. I think that's your role.
That's probably right. That's probably right. All right. Great tangent. We know what we're doing for Michael Bay.
Indeed.
All right. Thanks a lot, Ethan. That was somehow also our review of Halo Season 1.
Yep. And a small diatribe about our upcoming Michael Bay film.
Exactly. So thanks again, Ethan. Thanks everyone for listening.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.